Hello, my name is Rez. I am a professional game programmer. I do electrical engineering as a hobby. This is day number 4. My suspicion is that we get a speaker today because the whole point of this is to hear stuff. But we may not. We did though. And we have a little switch that's connected to it. And we just have a speaker. We have a speaker and a switch. So that's what they have given us. We'll grab these instructions here. Yeah, so the switch is the exact same style of switch that we had before. The speaker is a very basic, 8-ohm speaker. So your pretty standard small kind of speaker that you would get. And kind of pull this out. It is knotted in here. All right, let's see what day 4 says. This is day 4. Okay. I'll pull this down a little bit. All right, open the 4th door. Take out the loudspeaker. That's a generous term for this tiny speaker. We've got this other push button, which we'll have to deal with in a minute. Place the components on the board as shown, the long leg, and so on. Pay attention to the polarity of the capacitor. Well, let's see what they've got us doing here. This looks like... So this gives us power to the actual circuit, which turns this thing on. We've got this guy here. I don't know what this will do when we hit DC power on this thing, but let's find out. So here I have our original... here's our original circuit. I just dropped this little guy. So here's our original circuit with our capacitor and with our LED here. And what we had before was I could just plug this guy in here and go. So it looks like we have a similar setup here, but we're going to have to kind of fix up this thing again. Because again, they come all wonky. So we have to fix this guy up again. I'm just straightening out these leads a little bit, kind of trying to bend them to where they need to go, much like I did in the first day. There we go. All right, let's see if that actually works. Yeah, there we go. So that'll work. Cool. Okay. So let's see. We'll create this like this. Just like that. So they want to create this little sort of bridge here. They've set this up like this. Sure, we'll just set it up more or less the exact same way. So we'll go here. This is going to be my positive lead like it's been. So this is going to go out to my power supply. They have the negative lead that's going to go in here on this side, which connects to this capacitor. It also connects to this other push button that is right here. There we go. And then our LED connects basically between this point and this point. I've probably put these too far away to make it practical. And then these guys connect from here to here. And I think that is mostly it. So let's do the speaker side of it. The speaker side goes from this, where are we? This side here on this LED. Over here to this side like this. That side connects to nothing, so that's going to basically ground out the speaker. So we have something like this. And I may have hooked this up wrong, I just threw this together. But we're about to find out. We'll turn on our power supply. Connect this guy up like this. Double check that that's set. Yep, that's correct. Okay, we've got everything set up like this. Where's power? Let's turn it on. So if I do this, oh no, okay. You know what? I think I've hooked these up with a reverse polarity. I'm going to troubleshoot this real fast. Okay, I figured out what it was. It was just a dumb, it's hard to see this wiring, but the two shoulders are kind of over here. So basically this guy is rotated, which of course makes sense because we need to actually connect these. So this is just creating a little pulse. So if I, it tries to charge it up, it'll charge up and then discharge a bit. And then if I do that, it creates a little tiny pulse. So I'm sort of charging up this capacitor to create this kind of pulse. You can't hear anything. However, if I physically hold the speaker, I can feel it. It's just a ever so slight little like, tick, tick. I can barely feel it. So it's just creating a little pulse here like this. So that's mostly what's happening here. And that's basically it. So this is a pretty simple day. This goes through what's actually happening here. So when we press this left button, we're basically charging this capacitor. So this is a little charging circuit that's right here. This flow right here. Let me set this up like this. There we go. Okay. So this, turn off the power here. This flow here, this little sub-circuit or here on this diagram, what this is doing is this is just creating a little thing to charge this guy up. Once I press this button, what this is doing is creating a little, basically adding this speaker into it to pulse that energy that this capacitor is storing into the speaker. So it just creates a tiniest little pop. It's sort of adorable. And that's mostly it. And here you can actually see it happen. This is just an oscilloscope. If you've seen any of my videos before, then you've definitely seen this before. But basically it just measures voltage over time, so we can just watch. This line here, I've just moved it down. This is the 0 volt line. And I'm at 1 volt per division, so every division is a volt. So as soon as I press this button next to the LED, we can see it charge up. Now notice that little curve there. That is, if I were to actually change this and do something like, so I'll just pause it there. This charge up right here, we can watch the capacitor actually charge. That is the typical charging curve for a capacitor. It's this quadratic kind of curve here. So it spikes up fairly quickly and then tapers off as the charge gets slower and slower and slower. So it's sitting there charged up. In fact, if I were to unpause this and let this go, it's actually still up there because it's still perfectly charged. As soon as I press this, it's very slowly discharging. You can actually kind of see it very slowly going down. If I press the other button next to the speaker, it just pops right down. I'm basically shorting it out, letting the capacitor just discharge right into that speaker. My cat is very loud. Good God. Right, so it just goes pop. That's all it's doing. So that's the pop that you're hearing, just, or not really hearing, but that's the pop that I can feel, is that little thunk, thunk. That's what's going on. So it's just discharging that capacitor right in there. And that's basically it. So that's all that we've got here. I guess as one final example, I can show it again here. So if you watch the LED, it slowly loses its charge. And the reason it's slowly losing its light as this capacitor is charging up. The reason is because they're in series here, just like you can see the diagram here, they're in series. And so as the capacitor is charging up and charging up, I mean, technically it's an open. It's two things that are right next to plates that are right next to each other. So as the capacitor is charging up and looking more and more like this open circuit, no current is really able to flow. So current's flowing as the capacitor is charging up, basically inversely proportional to how much charge it has. So as it's going up, we're going to lose light on this thing. If I pull this back a little bit, kind of get it in the camera shadow so you can see it light up more. Boom, you see it go. That's that exponential curve. Still a little bit of light. It's still kind of charging a little bit. And that's it. That's its exponential curve. And then, of course, if I go pop. Now here, it's not charging at all. Here, it's because it's going straight through the speaker. When I've added the speaker to the component, to this thing, this is pulled right out, right? It's going from negative to here, through the speaker, then from here to this LED, through the LED, and up into the positive side of the battery. So it can skip this open right here, but this guy's adding to it. So that's why you get that little pop. It's dropping the voltage that is there. Whereas with the speaker out of it, it has to come through here. So it has to go through that speaker. Or sorry, through that capacitor. So that's what's going on here. That's what this whole setup is. Really, it's just a way for us to introduce the speaker itself. I'm excited that we have a speaker because I'm hoping that the next several days here, I mean, we've got we've got a moderately big one tomorrow on day 5. So I'm curious to see what that's going to be. I'm guessing it's going to be a bunch of wire. They often give us a little spool of wire that we can use. So I'm guessing that that's what's going to be there. But we're going to get a bunch of different components that I think is going to let us really play around with making music or making whatever we want through this speaker. And so I'm looking forward to the next few days. I think we finally are starting to get the stuff that we need to be able to do some really fun stuff. So cool. I will see you all tomorrow.